Always welcome back to another Brokowskis video. In this video, we got the top 24 wide receivers going into the fantasy playoffs. These guys have been studs all year and we're ranking them all based on how well we think they'll do in the playoffs. Before we get into it, boys, make sure you hit that subscribe. We're coming out with starts and sits every single week. If you haven't checked it out already, we already came out with the running back rankings. Let's just get straight into it.
At number 1, we got Cooper Kupp. Pretty obvious. Easily the best receiver in fantasy football right now. Has been all year long. No reason to change it up. Cooper Kupp number 1.
At number 2, again, not much to say here. We got Davante Adams. His playoff matchups are really nice. In the finals, he versus the Vikings, we put up over 30 points against. Again, there's not much needed to be talked about. Davante at number 2.
At number 3, we got Justin Jefferson, the current wide receiver 2 in fantasy football. He's been absolutely killing it lately, averaging over 20 fantasy points. Also has good matchups heading to the playoffs. Number 3, we got Justin Jefferson.
At number 3, we have Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was in that Elite 3, but Justin Jefferson has just been playing a bit better. Tyreek's matchups, they're not bad, they're not good. He does versus a really good Chargers defense than Pittsburgh, than Cincy. Again, not much needed to be said. He's such a stud that he's number 4.
At number 5, we got Keenan Allen, the Chargers star wide receiver. He has been getting absolutely fed with targets. Love to see that for PPR. 8 targets, 10 targets, 13 targets, 11, 13, 11 in those last 6 games. Love to see those numbers, elite numbers. We love Keenan rest of the year. We think he's an absolute beast. Top 5 rest of the season.
At number 6, we have Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs is going into the playoffs and it looks like he has bad matchups, but I would completely disagree. Carolina has such a bad offense. That's not the best matchup, but then he goes against New England. Last year when he played New England in the fantasy playoffs at New England, he put up more than 40 points. That's obviously probably not going to happen again, but it is a pretty good matchup. Then he versus Atlanta, who has a terrible defense. Not much to say about Stefon Diggs. He is a stud like all these other guys on the list so far.
At number 7, we got Deebo Samuel. He's been looking more like a running back recently. His targets have not been amazing. He has 1 target, 4 targets, 2, 5 in his last 4 games. But it's because they've been using a lot more running back, getting a lot more rushes. His matchups are also amazing. 29th Atlanta, 31st Tennessee, 16th Houston. Love those matchups. Super, super good. We think Deebo is going to be great rest of the season. Current receiver 5, putting up over 20 fantasy points a game. Love Deebo rest of the year.
At number 8, we have Diontae Johnson. This guy's the wide receiver 8 right now. He has pretty good playoff matchups, and he is a PPR machine. Last couple games, 10 targets, 11 targets, 14 targets, 13 targets, 13 targets. He basically gets over 10 targets every single game. His playoff matchups are not great, but they're not bad. Based on how many targets this guy gets, he's easily top 10 in the fantasy playoffs.
At number 9, we got Ceedee Lamb. This is a bit more of a projection as he is the current wide receiver 14. Not quite in that top 10. But in the last 2 games, he's been playing really good. 10 targets, 13 targets last 2 games. 14, 19 points in his last 2 games. He plays the Giants, Washington, and Cardinals. 3 really good matchups for wide receivers. We think Ceedee's going to break out in the fantasy playoffs. Could win some people some leagues. We have him just inside the top 10.
At number 10, we have Chris Godwin. This guy's been an absolute stud while AB's out. He's a wide receiver 6 currently. The problem is, when AB comes back, he's not going to get as many targets as he has been. Also, his playoff matchups are not amazing. He goes against the 27th ranked Saints this week, which is a great matchup. Then the 5th ranked Panthers and the 7th ranked Jets. When AB's in this offense, he's not going to be a top 5, top 7 wide receiver, but he still is elite, and that's why he still barely makes the top 10.
At number 11, we got Jaylen Waddle, who's been absolutely exploding recently, getting 18 points, 28 points, 20.6 points in his last 3 games, and his playoff matchups are nice too. He goes against the Jets, the Saints, and Tennessee. The connection with Tua has been really good recently. Jaylen Waddle's been playing awesome. We have him at number 11, just inside our top 12 wide receivers rest of the season.
At number 12, we have Hunter Renfrow. This guy's been playing out of his mind recently. Last 3 games, 29 points, 20 points, 21 points. Even before that, 8, then 17, then 17. He is an elite wide receiver. He was not drafted to be that, but he has proven to be the wide receiver 1 in this Raiders offense, especially when Darren Waller's out. This guy has been an absolute fantasy monster. When Waller does return, his production will go down a little bit, but he still is that target machine, and he just makes the top 12.
At number 13, we have JMarre Chase. He has fallen off big time from our previous list as we had him ranked at number 4, but 13 is still high, just outside of wide receiver 1 range. He is still the current wide receiver 7 because he was doing so well earlier in the year. Recently, he had a good game last game, 25 points. Before that, 10, 7, 13, 9, 13. He has been on a really bad, rough stretch, but we do think he can regain his form. He's shown the upside, even last week, like we said, 25 points. The matchups are not great, Denver, Baltimore, KC. But he does have that upside with Joe Burrow. The connection is really good. Every week he could put up 30 plus points, so we have to have him high on our list. 13th rest of the season.
At number 14, we have Mike Evans. This guy has been a beast, but partly has to give credit to AB being out. Mike Evans, though, the playoff matchups for him especially are pretty bad. He goes against the Saints this week, who are 27th against wide receivers. But Marshawn Lattimore seems to be Mike Evans' kryptonite. He shuts him down every single time. After that, he's going against the 5th-ranked Carolina, then the 7th-ranked Jets. We don't love Mike Evans' matchup, but just based on how good of a wide receiver is, he has to be top 15 the rest of the way.
At number 15, we have T. Higgins, the other Bengals wide receiver. You could even make an argument for him being above Chase with how he's been playing recently. 16 points, 29 points, 23 points in his last 3 games. He has been playing better than Chase. But we just think with the upside, Chase is a little bit better. Same thing with Chase. The matchups aren't awesome. Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs. But again, T. Higgins has been playing super well. We have him at number 15 rest of the season for the playoffs.
At number 16, we have Tyler Lockett. This guy has been playing better than DK recently. If you look at his past 3 games, 27, 19, 13. He is Russell Wilson's favorite target at the moment. He has pretty good playoff matchups. Chicago, Rams, and Detroit. Rams are a good defense, but they haven't been playing amazing against wide receivers. He's number 16 for the rest of the way.
And at 17, we have Lockett's teammate D.K Metcalf right behind Lockett. He's been on a really, really rough stretch his last few games. 8, 11, 2.37, 5.6 points. Really, really bad. But we have seen DK's upside. We know he is a beast receiver. Super good player. Again, same thing with Lockett. Has those good matchups. Rams, Bears, Lions. But again, he has been playing not super good recently, so we have Lockett just ahead of him. DK's at number 17 rest of the season.
At number 18, we have Hollywood Brown. This guy's been getting targets, but he just can't seem to turn them into fancy points. Last couple games, 8, 7, 10, 13, 12, 14 targets. He is getting those targets. The Lamar Jackson injury does hurt his value. Also, if you look at his playoff matchups, they're all just mid. No top 10 defenses against wide receivers, no bottom 10 defenses. The matchups aren't great, they're not bad, the production is there, but Huntley does hurt his value, so he's at number 18.
At 19, we got Michae Pittman, the Colts' clear number 1 receiver. Obviously, he's not their number 1 weapon with Jonathan Taylor on the team, but Pittman has still been really good for the Colts. He has sizzled off a little bit recently after having a really good middle of the season, but we think he can regain that form. His matchups are okay. Patriots, pretty bad matchup. Cardinals, we think is a good matchup. And then Raiders, which should be a good matchup, but the Colts are probably going to run all over them with Jonathan Taylor, which could mean Michae Pittman doesn't get a ton of targets. But if he can regain that middle of the season form, we think Pittman is a great option rest of the season.
At number 20, we have A.J. Brown. We had to put him this low because he's guaranteed to miss week 15, but his playoff matchups in the next 2 weeks, if he can return, are amazing. 23rd San Fran against wide receivers and 28th Miami. He is a stud wide receiver. He hasn't been playing amazing lately. He got 9 points last time he played, but he did get injured that game, week before 3, week before 9, but he has shown that upside, getting over 30 points. His upside's super high. He is a good player, and hopefully he can get back on the field. Just making our top 20.
At number 21, we got Brandon Cooks. Davis Mills surprised us last week, actually played pretty decent against the Seahawks. Cooks had 11 targets, 8 catches, 18 fantasy points, had a good week, and his matchups are nice. Next week, 24th ranked Jacksonville, then Chargers, which isn't a great matchup, then 23rd San Francisco. Good playoff matchups. If Davis Mills can continue playing like this, Brandon Cooks is a great option the rest of the season. We have him at 21 for the rest of the season rankings.
At number 22, we have Antonio Brown. This is the same situation with A.J. Brown. He's guaranteed to miss 1 game because of his suspension, but if he can come back, he's been a fantasy monster. He's averaging over 19 points per game. The playoff matchups are not insane. He's versing the 5th-ranked Carolina and 7th-ranked Jets. But if he can play, he's put up amazing numbers when he's played. He's averaging over 19 points per game, and he had a game with 2 points. He scored over 20 points 3 times. He's an absolute fantasy monster. If he can come back to the field, he's a great fantasy play.
At number 23, we got DeAndre Hopkins. We just got the bad news today. He is out next week, could miss multiple weeks. We had to lower him down big time on our rankings. If he's out for the whole playoffs, he obviously can't be on this list. We just have him on just in case he does come back because he is still one of the best receivers in the NFL. He hasn't been amazing for fantasy when he plays though. But again, being one of the best players in the NFL, he has to be on this list. We're hoping he can come back, be healthy enough to play in the fantasy playoffs, and if he does, he's still a good player for fantasy football.
At number 24, we have Amari Cooper. This guy is only on here. He's been playing pretty bad, but his playoff matchups are super nice. He's going against the Giants, Washington, and the Cardinals. The first two, Giants and Washington, both division games, both super bad against wide receivers. Arizona Cardinals should be a shootout game. Ceedee is the wide receiver 1, but Amari still has that talent and still should be good for the playoffs. He just makes our top 24.
And guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We're coming with fantasy videos every single week. And comment this word right here. Everyone who comments this will like and reply to your comment. Good luck in fantasy this week. We'll see you guys later.